Hi, in this video I will show you how to automate sending Instagram DMs without a single line of code using Axiom, the Chrome extension for automating the browser. I'm Alex, co-founder of Axiom. Let's dive in. Okay, before I click run and show you that the bot automating Instagram DMs, if you're new to Axiom, you can install the extension from our website axiom.ai. It's free to install and no credit card required. And best of all users, new users, get 2 hours of run time. That allows you to build your own bots, test them, and most importantly, see if you can get some value out of Axiom. Okay, so when you click the big blue button and you start on your journey of using Axiom, you'll be taken to our Chrome store. Here you'll be able to see our 67 5-star reviews, our mark of approval from Amazon. And if you want to read those reviews, just click on the review tab here and you'll see this great review at the top, hopefully where I'm mentioned in person, which I'm really pleased about. So thank you, Valentin, for that awesome review. Okay, so we're almost ready to get going and show you this automation, show you the power of bots automating tasks in the browser. First of all, before you build your bot, because that's what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you how to build the bot. But first of all, I'm going to show you the bot running and everything we need set up to get the bot set up. So first of all, you're going to need a Google Sheet. And if you just look below here, you'll see that I've got 3 tabs: users, sent, and not sent. More about that later. In the first tab, users, that's where I'll have my list of Instagram users that I want to automate sending DMs to. Then I'm going to have a page open with a user account that I can message. This is a younger me on my personal Instagram account. And also, just to contrast, this is someone's account where you can't message. You see the message button is completely missing. But being an Instagram user yourself, you're probably very familiar with that. Okay, so now I should introduce you to Axiom before I show you the automation running. Once installed, you can pin Axiom to your toolbar in Chrome, so it's without you throughout your working day, and you can just click it up, open, run your bots, build new ones. I'm going to now click on the icon here and toggle Axiom open. You'll see we land on the dashboard where you can have all your bots listed. Because you can build as many bots as you want, you should automate everything. That's what I try and do, everything that you can automate. Okay, so this is the dashboard. I won't go into too much detail about it because dashboard's a dashboard. On the left, you can click on some documentation. We just added this feature if you want to read a little bit more about Axiom and how it works. We've also got video guides if that's interesting to you as well, to learn some more lessons and learn some of the more granular methods in Axiom. Okay, if I was going to build a new bot, I would just click New Automation, but I've already built this bot because, like I said, I'm going to show you it running before I walk you through how to build it. So I'm going to open up the bot. Here we can see this is our no-code builder. It's pretty awesome. You can see I've built this bot entirely by just adding what we call steps with our step finder. And all I've done is configure those steps, not a single line of code there. That's pretty awesome. Like, once you see the bot and the fact that it automates your work in the browser and you can set it up without code, you're going to find that pretty awesome. Okay, so let me just quickly talk you through how the bot is set up to work so you understand it before I click run. So the bot will basically, it reads from a Google Sheet. That's why I've got this read step. It will read from the Google Sheet I mentioned earlier, visit the links in there. It will then go open up the page and it will try and click on message before it, you can see I've tested the bot, before it types in a message and clicks send. Now, the complication I found with this bot was that here, if I just close Axiom, not everyone has a message button. So I've had to basically do a check to see if the message button is there. If it's not there, then it doesn't send a message, because it obviously can't. If it is there, it will send the message. And then once the bot's done sending the message, this is why I've got the sent tab and the not sent tab in here. We'll be able to see who we did send a message to and who we didn't send a message to. Cool. So without further ado, I'm actually going to click run, and we're going to see my hands in the air once I've done the click. And just quickly, you can schedule the bots, so you can use Zapier to trigger them, or Make, or you can just use our own inbuilt scheduler. But here I'm going to click run, and I'm going to be hands free. So let's just open up Instagram and click run on our bot. I'll open up Axiom, I should say. I'm going to first of all run it on the desktop. There are two options. You can run in the cloud or you can run on the desktop. My preferred method is to build and test on the desktop, and then I schedule and run the bots in the cloud. Now I'm going to click run, and finally get to see the bot. I'm hands free. You'll see the bot open. It's going to whiz by, so you're going to see it open up my account. It's going to scrape the message button. It's found it, so now it's going to go back in and click the message button, because the bots work like a human being. Now this pop-up does emerge. We could turn it off, but you can see in the background the message still gets sent. So the bot's already sent that message. Job done. Now the bot's set up to loop through a couple of times, so it's going to go to the next page and it's going to scrape. It's not going to find message, so it's going to use a condition, and it's going to jump to the end of the automation and just write to the sheet it couldn't send. So whilst it's doing that, that's going to finish any time. Now, if we tab into the Google Sheet, we can see we've actually deleted the two users from here because the bots attempted to send to them, and we don't want to repeat the run. And we should see in the sent, so we know a message was sent to my account, and we now know a message was not sent to this account. So that's friggin' awesome. I hope you enjoyed. Well, the bot just whizzed by, but I mean, the thing I love about browser automation is watching those bots just do the work. Like, see, like the smile that comes up on my face is pretty magical, if not pretty damn cool. And if I wanted to use the bot again, all I need to do is load up this list with some more users. And the great thing, Axiom's got a scraper in it, so I could make another bot to scrape lists of users as well from, I could, like, for example, I could put in a hashtag and search use the Instagram search, scrape out the usernames, construct the URLs, loop round and DM. So it's pretty powerful what you can do. It's not just limited to this one bot. Now, before I crack on and talk to you, just take you step by step how to build this bot, let me just remind you of two things. One, there is a blog guide that goes with this. If you're coming via the YouTube channel and you haven't seen the blog, I'll share a link in the bottom. Two, most importantly, please remember not to spam DMs. Like, that kind of ruins like people's experience of social media. So use it sensibly. Have you got a relevant message to those people? And most importantly too, I should also mention, as we do in the blog article, you can get blocked for sending too many DMs. Do your research, look up Instagram's latest rate limits. You can just do that in a Google search and find there's many blog articles on it. Stick to those search limits. Don't exceed them, or your account will get suspended. And if you keep violating those limits and you keep getting your account suspended, then eventually you will get your account blocked, and that will be your own fault. We don't take responsibility for that. So be sensible with your bots. We do have a scheduling feature in our other tiers, in our paid tiers, so you could break up your bot runs into 10 or 20 messages an hour and stick within the limits. And the limits vary from account to account. That's why you need to look it up. Also test. Run a few more, and just see what the limit is before Instagram start getting cross with you. Okay, so let's walk you through the bot. So we can see we had a Google Sheet here, and I'm just going to cut and paste a few. And you'll need to set up your own Google Sheet for this. Just copy the structure I've got, and you'll need some URLs in there of some users that you want to go to. And I've also got this tabs open, like I mentioned here. So one thing, let's walk through the bot. So let's do step one. So there's always a starting point when you're building your bot. And for this bot, step one was read data from a Google Sheet. So It's a very easy step to configure. I literally searched for the name of my Google Sheet, and then I can just select the sheet name. And I wanted the sheet name of the users because that's what we're doing with this first step. We're pulling in the user data. You can see the preview here. Now, I wanted to only have the bot pull in one line of data. So in the first cell, because it's in the column and it's in cell 1, I just did A1 and A1 again. Because basically I'm going to set the loop lower down in the bot. I don't want more than one row at a time being read from the Google Sheet. Now the next step I added using the step finder, and just to show you the step finder, you can type in the names of steps, or you can just filter them from the side, or get used to sort of picking them with the mouse and scrolling any which way. What I did, I added an interact step for my second step, and that interact step is important because it contains the sub-steps, we call them. See here, it says add sub-step, whereas this is add step. They're sub-steps because they're contained within the boundaries of the interact step. And it contains all the sub-steps that interact with the web and also a web scraper. So the first interact step I've added, I've got the loop on, but it's not going to loop more than once because I've only got one row of data going in. And the most important thing here was, you see the yellow stadiums here. This one tells me I can share data from this step into these steps. So I clicked on the insert data, and let me just show you how I did it. You get the preview, and I added the Google Sheet. So that's essentially, I just plugged in the data from the Google Sheet. As simple as that, no code. Really cool. And that basically passes the URL into that interact step, and that's what opens Instagram on the correct page. Next, I did a scraper, and let me just check which page I've got open because I'm going to want my profile open. Next, I added a scraper just to talk you through what I did here. It's very simple. All I needed to do was click select on message. You can see I already done it because we're checking to see if that message button is on the page. Okay, and that's all I needed to do. I left this at max results on 1. Don't edit any of these other settings. You'll see like a preview output here. Then I added a bit of logic. This is logic without code. It's pretty cool. I added what's called a conditional jump. And now I had to plug, in the first step, I have to plug in the data I want to check. So of course, that data is from the interact step where I do the scrape, because I want to check for the word message. That's why we're doing it. And then in the second field, the words to check for, I just typed in the message. And word matching, we do any. And then we set the jump we want to step to, because this is called the jump step. Basically, this jump step will check to see if there is this word, and then it's going to skip a load of steps all the way down to step 7, which we'll get to shortly. And it's got a maximum amount of cycles. Just leave that on how it's set up. That doesn't matter because it's not going to exceed 1 each run. Or it will, depending on the amount of loops, but that's enough for now. 20, you can always adjust it. And finally, we want to reverse the condition. So we want to jump if it's not found. So that reverses, it basically makes it conditional, like if we find message, the bot continues running normally down to step 4, which I'll talk you through in a second. But if the message text is not found, it jumps. And so that's how we skip sending the message. So we scrape the message, we put it into the result into conditional jump step, and we check to see if it's there. And if the word message isn't found, we skip typing in the DM, we skip writing to the Google Sheet into the sent tab, and we go straight to writing this step. This basically writes, and a good practice here is naming your steps, not sent, which I hadn't done when I built this, but that gives you an idea of what the steps are for. It helps you keep track as you build. And so this basically skips from this jump. It jumps all the way down to here, step number 7, not sent. And then we've got to delete. So then the delete row we'll go into in a second. And before we do a final jump to the top, I'm just going to come back up here and go to then step 4. So presuming the bot has found message, as we saw when messaging my account, we basically add another interact step. We pass the URL in again, repeating the trick, and then we add a button to click on. So we use what we mentioned earlier, a sub-step. We add a click element sub-step, and you can see the important here, note that the selections are different here when doing sub-steps than they are when you do steps which are outside of the interact. You get a different selection. Now, all these sub-steps, as I mentioned, are there to help you automate actions in the browser, from select lists to entering text to pressing keys. You've got everything you need to automate virtually any task in the browser. So don't limit yourself to just this bot. Make more, automate more. It really is the skill of the future. So close. I'm going to close because I already got the click element added. I'm just going to show you how I configured that. And that's basically all I needed to do was select on the button. So it knows which button to click. Job done. It knows to click that button. I'm going to press OK here. So I'm just press confirm. And that's the button selected. That's all I needed to do to set up. And so what that does is then take the automation off to the message page so it can send the DEM, and it's already got the correct profile message loaded for the message. And what I did here, just to allow, because the page time, because you've got a lot of dynamic data in Instagram, you're dependent on a lot of things loading in, and they don't all load at once, so they can be loaded in to reduce the page weight in sequence. So we just needed to add what's called a wait. It's a really useful tool for when automating, a really useful step for when automating the browser. It does what it says off the label. You just put a time in here. I put 3-second wait. It just waits for all the message page to get set up before we try and interact with it. Next up, we have an enter text step. This is an awesome step, really useful. You can pass data if you want to automate form filling into these enter text steps, but I've just got my message hard-coded in. Please note, if you use returns like this to do messages, currently how Axiom works, it'll do a different message bubble for each, because a space is a return. So just do a single, keep your message all joined up in lines. Okay, and so here you type in the message that you want to send, and you don't need to set up anything else. I did add a small delay in here. You can copy that if you want, but don't select text field. Sometimes you're going to need to, when making bots, you're going to need to select the text field that you want to add text in. But a really good trick is to look where your cursor is when the page loads, and you'll see when this page loads, the cursor is already in the correct field. It's already occupying the message field, so we don't need to give the bot or Axiom any more instructions. We can just type the text in, so don't select the text field. Next up, we added another wait just to let the message finish, and then we use, I really like this step, so browser automation, sometimes you've got buttons that are tricky to click or select, and you can use the key press. You can literally tab, so especially when automating forms, it's really useful the key press, because you can just tab between different inputs. It's a different way of navigating the browser rather than using your pointer, so it's useful. Press keys is literally, like I said, you record your key strokes, and now to send a message, I just needed to, rather than clicking the return button, I could just click return on the keyboard. So all I did was press record and record the enter step, and that's that step set up. And finally, because again, dynamic data on Instagram, we don't want the bot leaving the page before the message is posted and the servers recorded the post, etc. And so I've just added in a time to allow the page to do its business. And then that bot is complete. The message would have been sent to that user. So we literally go to a write data Google Sheet step, and you select the sheet, We're going to use the sent column or the sent tab. And now an important one to do is here, it's going to pass by default, try and pass the interact data in. You're going to need to change it to the Google Sheet data because we just want the URLs of the users that we've been DMing. So change that to Google Sheet data. Make sure you do that because by default, otherwise it won't work. It's going to be on the interact. Another important thing to note, when setting up Google Sheets, if you don't have this option toggled to on or add to existing data, you're going to write over every time. So have it on add to existing data, then it builds the list. If it's on this clear data, it's going to wipe the sheet every time. Okay, or just the tab. So that's the first write step set up. Now we've used another jump step, this time without any logic. It's got no condition. We type in the number of the step to jump to. Again, there's a maximum cycles. We can edit or change if we need to. A bit more about that in a second. Now this jump step, all it does is jump over the write to not sent because we don't want to write in the sent and then again into the sent. So because we know this bot would have been this person or this part of the run, if they're coming down this chain, they would have been sent. We can just jump over. Excuse me, a lot of talking, sore throat. Okay, so we jump. We just use this very simple jump step to jump over the not sent, and then we land again on the delete. Delete is really easy, the delete rows. Again, select the correct sheet. We don't need to connect anything there. And we just want to delete one row because we're just doing one row at a time. It's an important concept to grasp for this bot. We are doing one row here. And then once that row is done, we're going to then delete that row and we delete the row here. And I know what you're thinking, you want to send more than one DM, but the loop happens in the next step, the final step, and that's where you can control how many DMs you want to send. So hold on a second. And so we've selected the sheet name user and we just want to delete the first row and the last row. Okay. Now to the final step. We're almost at the end of the journey. I hope you've learned a lot and you'll pick up building bots quite easily. To be honest, you'll find there is a bit of learning curve, but most of the lessons you've learned here on this video will carry you through to give you the skills you need to build some pretty powerful bots. We have great support, so reach out to us if you get stuck. We'll answer your questions. We'll send you videos showing you how to complete your tasks, and you can share your automations with us. You can do that by clicking on the cog, share your automation, click download, explain to us where you've got stuck. If you can record a loom like I've done here to show you how to build, that's great. And we've got a support page, axiom.ai/support. You can just upload your loom or any old video talking us through where you're stuck. You can also share the Axiom template with us so we can test it, fix it, and send back a working template for you, a solution to the problems, if you have any. Okay, so now I got sidetracked, so back onto the final step. This is probably the most important step in some ways. It's one more non-conditional jump step, very simple jump step. We give it the step we want to jump back to, and this is where we tell it to jump back all the way to the top. Step 1, the read data from Google Sheet, and we can tell it how many times we want to cycle. So if we want to do 20 DMs in one sitting, in one bot run, we could put 20. If you wanted 200, don't do 200 because your account will most likely be blocked if you did 200 in one go. 20, I think, I'm not sure, it varies on account. 20, you can probably do 20. You might be able to do 20 in an hour, but I'd start with a lower number, try 5 and then 10 an hour. But like I said, just do some Googling on Instagram rate limits, because if you don't exceed the Instagram rate limits, play within their rules, then bots work really well for you. If you just want to be one of those people who abuses the system, then you're going to get blocked. And we're okay with that because we don't want anyone to abuse the system. Use bots sensibly and they'll work really well for you. Anyway, so you can control the maximum cycles here. In Jump Step, you can just go back to step 1 and you just repeat the process until it's done. Cool. I hope you enjoyed the tutorial. We do have other Instagram bots available. You can pretty much build a bot or an Axiom to automate anything on Instagram. We've got some other tutorials. I'll share some links that show you how to not send messages, how to post. You can also do likes, etc. And you can scrape data. So anyway, you can use all the lessons you've learned in this tutorial to build more bots to do different tasks in Axiom. Cool. And then lastly, it's only on paid tiers, you can also schedule your Instagram bots, and that can be really useful. Okay, hope you enjoyed the walkthrough. Thank you.